with respect to Tesla, that following everything that Elon says is really tiring. So, we tend to look on get the updates on a quarterly basis. We'll review our annual, 12-month price target. I have a buy rating on the stock. I was one of the first to have that positioning in 2018. And I think that the trend for electric vehicles is still in the relatively early stages. So I think it's too early. Now, that doesn't mean that there won't be volatility. There's going to be opportunities to buy. On pullbacks, that's kind of our positioning, is to add to positions, unless we see a major change in the overall economic situation. In other words, if we go from what is a bull market into a bear market, and then relative value probably needs to be thought through. But for this current market, I continue to see more upside than downside in Tesla.
Hey, Jed, Frank Holland here. Speaking of the economics, according to Benchmark Mineral Intelligence, I don't know if you ever use them as a source, but lithium demand is forecast to grow by 600% between now and 2030. That'll likely lead to a bit of a spike in prices. Can a battery maker like this stay competitive? Is there enough demand for everybody across the board, when you have to think that the battery prices are going to go up, but a company like Tesla, they can offset that price by putting it into the car? Can just a straight-up battery maker remain competitive?
Yeah, I don't have a position with respect to Northvolt. I would say that in most other industries, being a supplier for the materials, long term has not been where the greatest alpha generation. It tends to be at the product level, in terms of how you're transforming that material into a product. And I wouldn't see anything different here, but getting the timing right is really important. And I think when we look at the number of OEMs that have announced plans, the number of cars that are looking to shift over and ramp, I would agree with Benchmark in terms of the maybe not the very details, but certainly the magnitude of increase that's needed. And that is going to put that whole supply chain in a period of tightness for a decent amount of time.
Jed, you mentioned that you have a buy rating on Tesla, that you were one of the first to do so in 2018. You just spoke a little bit about sort of the landscape for batteries in general, but what about EVs, electric cars, names like Rivian getting a lot of attention lately? I know some of our stock pickers on CNBC are looking at Ford as a potential beneficiary. What about the other EV makers, non-Tesla?
So I have a slightly different opinion than maybe, and just based on my experience. I mean, I was a senior executive at a Fortune 500, so I've been on the other side for a bit. And I think what the major OEMs are going to struggle with is that of culture. And that's what I see some of the startups. Now, some of the really early startups that are just kind of, the first time I met Elon was back in 2009, and Tesla back in the 2010, 2011, they went through a lot of growing pains to get to where they're at now, which is shipping still, 1 million or so vehicles in terms of expectations. So I think there's a long way to go in terms of both of the newcomers that are just starting to ramp. I think there's a lot of potential there. I think there's going to be some overhang with the traditional OEMs. Some of them may make it through. I think Ford is one of the ones that's showing a bit of aggression in terms of ingenuity. So we'll see.
Got it. Thank you, Jed Dorsheimer with Canaccord Genuity. This is a space we are going to be watching closely and following closely as well. Frank.